My name is Cassy Summers. Welcome to the Curious Universe podcast. Welcome, my friend. So today I wanted to explore with you, how do you know when the universe is asking you to step up? Because sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes it actually shows up in a way where it might feel like, universe, what are you doing to me? Like we might perceive it as something wrong going on, when really it is that invitation to step up into more. What I know to be true, and you have to check in for you, because this is about what you know, is that the universe will never hand you anything that you can't handle. And so when something's coming my way and it's requiring me to actually stretch beyond what my comfort zone is, or beyond what I have decided I'm capable of, more often when I ask the question, is this the universe asking me to step up? It is. It is so often, and it shows up in so many mysterious and wondrous ways I cannot even explain. So how do you know for you? And that's what I want to explore here. What are your indications? What are your signs and signals when you feel like the universe is asking you to step up? The universe is inviting you to receive more, to be more, to know more of what you have been ignoring. There is a communication going on. There is actually a co-creation going on if you're willing to perceive it and actually engage with it. How much more fun can you have? So I talk a lot on the show about communication in different forms. Body communication, communicating with the earth. I've talked about communicating with entities. Well, I want to talk right now about communicating with the universe, because with all those communications that I just brought up, none of them are necessarily the same kind of verbal communication, what you're used to in this reality. You're used to talking, which is not necessarily communication. Talking can just be talking. Do you ever notice some people are just talking and stuff's flying out of the mouth, and you're like, are you actually trying to say anything, or are you just talking because you think you should, because maybe you're feeling the silence, or maybe you're nervous, or whatever? Then there's actual communication. You may have heard of like body language, and how you can really perceive what's going on with someone by the way their eyes look, by any nervous movements. Like, people study this stuff, right? That's all different forms of communication. But there's also the energetic communication. The energetic communication that we have every show, that shows up for you, whether you participate or not, when you engage with the earth. What will show up for you in all these different areas of your life is this energetic communication that is so rarely valued and truly explored. So if everything has consciousness, which it does, okay, then you could communicate consciousness to consciousness, right? You could communicate with that which is consciousness, as you are that which is consciousness. So why would the universe of consciousness be any different? For what reason could you not actually communicate with consciousness itself? Yeah, okay. And so how much has consciousness itself been communicating with you that you have not acknowledged. And everything that's created and all the diminishment of being, perceiving, receiving, and knowing that that has created, will you destroy and create all that? Please, right, wrong, good, bad, POC, bad, all name, choice, voice, puppets, beyonds. If you're new to the show or new to Access Consciousness, that was the Access Consciousness clearing statement. If you want more information on that, please go to theclearingstatement.com. It's just a magic wand we use to clear energy. That's why it's called the clearing statement, because it clears energy. But I'm not going to go into it here. You can check out that link. There's always a link in the description below if you want more information on that. So, communication. You might even notice sometimes when you're on this podcast with me that you have moments where you could get like maybe slightly dizzy, or you think that you're checking out, but you're actually like downloading information. You might be sparking, popping all these ideas and thoughts and stuff. This is all kind of the orchestra of the communication going on. And sometimes it might relate to what I'm actually verbally speaking, and there might be things popping that have nothing to do with what I'm verbally speaking, because we are having this energetic dance together as we're going through this. And so there's that which is spoken, there's that which is thought, and there's that which is energy. So thoughts can be a communication too. Some people say something with their mouth and then their head is saying something different. That's great to pay attention to. But what I really want to explore today is that energetic communication that's going on in every interaction that you have. If you admire a flower, you're in communication with that flower. If you are, like petting a cute little puppy, you are in communication with that puppy. You just maybe have never really acknowledged all the energetics going on while you're out in the world. Not often do people really acknowledge the energies that's going on. Like when you walk into a room and it's like, someone had a fight, like, that there's unhappy people, but they're like smiling and they're pretending everything's fine, but you just feel like you just walked into like a battlefield and everyone's pretending to be friends. That's the energy. We don't acknowledge it. We're not like, wow, look, it seems like you guys just had a massive fight. And because they're pretending like everything's okay. They're pretending like nothing happened. We unacknowledge, we deny, we create secret, all the energetics going on all the time, rather than just truly acknowledging it for what it is without even having to define it. So back to this magnanimous universe, this miracle of consciousness that is willing to communicate with you. When you're asking questions of the universe, and I do hope you do that, and I do hope that you really explore in curiosity the wondrous world of question. It's a lot of what we do on the show. I ask questions. I invite you to ask questions. It's part of the play of curiosity. It's part of the way that we can communicate, even though, yes, it can be out loud, it can be verbal, but it's really matching the energies to that. So for example, if I were to ask, what would it take to, get to Rome next year? Okay. What would it take to get to Rome next year? If I'm really willing to ask that question, I'm not just pretending. What would it take? So what would it take for me to get to Rome next year? Okay. So I'm engaging with the energies of one, going to Rome and physically being present there. Okay, so I'm now energetically communicating with Rome. and also communicating with the elements that would be around that trip. Okay. And the earth there, the land there. And then there's also this communication of when I'm asking the universe, what would it take? It will show me what it's going to take. I don't have to figure it out, which is brilliant, because I probably said this a million times on the show. Figuring things out is not my superpower. I hate figuring things out. because I cannot linearize and fit myself into the box to figure the things out that are required if you're going to do it that way. The universe is the best of the how that I've ever met. It knows things that we're not even comprehending. It can deliver the how for you in an instant. So I asked the question, what would it take to get to Rome next year? And now in that request, okay, that request vibrates out as energy. It goes into the universe, and then the universe will bring back to me all of the infinite possibilities of how I could get to Rome next year. And I just have to choose which one of them I would like. And then I will get closer and closer. And some paths I choose might be take a way longer way to get there. Some paths I choose will be faster. Some will be easier, some will be harder. It's just really it depends on how you like to live your life. The universe will show you all the available options, and then you choose from there. And when you choose, then you start to set, that's more communication, your choice, and then it starts to roll into more possibilities will show up. So now I asked, what would it take to get to Rome next year? And these possibilities show up. There might be a possibility in which in my current state of being, the space that my being is occupying right now, I might choose a path that this being cannot complete. It cannot get to that target. The target is Rome next year. That my space of being would actually have to open up, would have to expand, would have to become more. I would have to step into being more of me. I might have to let go of some lies that I've bought about me, or bought about going to Rome, or. So these things can show up, and especially when they're those really big asks, those ones that we often put a lot of significance to, but also that they're going to change our world. Those asks, not like, what am I going to eat for dinner tonight, which could change your world, but not necessarily because of the question, what am I going to eat for dinner tonight? It is when I'm really asking for that bigger thing, that thing that I don't yet have in my realm will require to get bigger for me to receive it, for me to have it. You have to become anything that you want to have. Yeah. So if I'm being kind of like a pathetic pile of shit and whining and complaining about my life, and the energy of this trip to Rome is like huge and expansive and miraculous and potent and wow, a totally new space of being, which is what I'm starting to become aware of. To receive that in my world, to actualize this as my reality, I'm going to have to expand beyond the whining, complaining pile of shit. Do you get my point? Is this making sense? I hope it is. So how do you know when something's going on and the universe is actually inviting you to stretch so you can receive that which you asked for? Not that the universe is like deciding who you should be or deciding what's right for you, what's wrong for you. It actually is, you asked for something, consciousness is delivering, but for you to receive, you might have to become more. Anything that does not need to know, be, perceive, and receive this. We just strain and create it. Please write, run, give out, talk about all nature's voice, poets, and meows. So here's like a little story that actually I love, because people will often ask me, like, how did you become an Access Consciousness certified facilitator? Like, what's your story? And my story is one that I had no intentions of ever becoming a facilitator of anything. I did not have any sense that I would be talented at that I was capable of that, and had kind of put it on maybe a pedestal of like, wow, this is for the really special, magical people. I'm just a pathetic pile of shit. I was in an incredibly abusive, gaslighting marriage at the time, and a mom of like 2 little kiddos, worn down, burnt out, just trampled on, and really had in some way in my entire life had been led to believe how awful I was and how I didn't have a lot of value. And so my experience when I had met other facilitators, the gift of them I saw as so valuable. But because I couldn't see myself as valuable, I was not ever going to try and even attempt to do something like that. Okay. So here I am in this little box that I've made for myself. Now, I never asked what would it take to be an access conscious facilitator because I had decided that was impossible. But I was asking, what would it take to have a life that I loved? What would it take for me to get me to see myself as valuable? And what would it take to like truly thrive and get beyond this sense of survival that I had been functioning from? These were some of my big asks. They were huge. They were impossible asks because I had been trying my entire life in one form or another to achieve this, to create this as my reality, and failed miserably, terribly, over and over and over again. So as I was exploring consciousness and access consciousness and asking these questions and really desiring that greater, bigger, more miraculous life, and I had also asked, what can I contribute to the world? And that's kind of always been in my universe. Like I came in with that. I've always wished to be a contribution. I was always wondering, how could I contribute to others and to the world? So all those asks are here. And then the universe desires to gift you everything you ask for, by the way. I don't know if you know that, but like you don't have to deserve it at all. You ask for it and the universe just desires to gift it to you. It's amazing. It's amazing. Especially, and I've heard this before and I love it. It's like consciousness will contribute to you equal to and greater than what you contribute to it. So my desire is to, contribute to consciousness, and here it is trying to gift to me. But for me to get there, something had to change because a pathetic pile of shit, which is how I felt I was, they can't at the same time have a thriving life that they love and get the value of them. Those are conflictual realities, right? So this reality had to change for me to have the new reality. So how do we get from here to here? Well, this is the manipulation. Now, this is not a tragic manipulation, yet sometimes things can show up as though they are tragedies or difficult events, right? This one was actually quite funny. My younger sister came to visit me one day, and I've been doing Access for a while, and my family never really asked me about it. They weren't really interested in it, which is I thought was weird because they always wanted to know everything I was doing, and then suddenly they didn't want to know anything I was doing. And it used to upset me a lot. And then I got beyond that and I realized maybe it's just not for them, or maybe they're just not ready for it. So my little sis comes to visit me and I just fucking love her so much, and always desired to contribute to her. And she's like, tell me everything. Just tell me everything about Access. So I spent an hour and I just told her all the change that I was having and all the miracles that I'd seen showing up and this and this and this and all this stuff. And something I was telling her about something called the Access bars. So this is a body process we have in Access consciousness. It's miraculous. If you haven't tried it, highly recommend it. And it's these touch points on the head that when you hold them gently, I'm not even going to go into it too much. It's just like a miracle. It changed my life. That's what actually was how I got into Access. So she's like, I want to learn. I'm like, yes. And at this point, I'd already taken 2 classes. So I could do it on my kids. And I was starting to kind of do it on other people, just kind of like giving it to them for free. Some people would pay me just like a little bit of money. And I was just like really like tentatively doing this magic called the Access bars. So she says, I want to do this, but I'm only going to take the class if you facilitate it. Now, what a trickster, because I had already decided I was never going to do that. I was never going to be a facilitator. And funny enough, I had multiple people ask me, hey, I'd like to take a class with you. When are you doing it? And I said, I'm not doing that. Nope. But here's someone. They just kept recommending all these other facilitators. But what was I willing to do for my sis? Well, pretty much anything. So then I had to, I had to do this silly facilitation. And I decided, I'm like, I will do this one class and that is it. I am not doing this other than this class because this is ridiculous. I'm going to suck. And we're just going to have a small class and it will just be a family thing. And it'll be at her house, ended up being like 12 people. And it was like a track jump for me. I switched that around. Sorry, a track jump for me because it shifted everything in my life and invited me to step into a space of my own being that I had never been in that lifetime. Ooh. This was part of the universe actually manipulating me and my little sister. She colluded with the universe but the universe will do that. They'll use people, but to get me to step up and step into more so that I could create a life that I love. I could go into a space of thrival so far beyond survival. They could have these things that I was asking for that I couldn't ask for when I was the pathetic pile of shit. So when something shows up in my life, and sometimes it's frustrating, it's like, why does it seem like everything I'm doing keeps either getting destroyed or I'm trying to run and I keep getting slowed down? I've had car accidents, I've had weird body stuff, I've had, oh my God, court things. It's just been incredible. And this is a question that I love. And please put this question in your toolbox, okay? And play with this and see what shows up. So when those things show up, what I do now, instead of going into poor me, which is what I used to do, I sometimes ask, okay, what is right about this that I'm not getting? And sometimes you got to be there for a minute, because if you've decided this is awful and horrible, how could this possibly be right? It might just be something wonderful occurring that looks terrible, that is going to stretch you into what you've been asking for. I've had people asking for like massive change with their body, and then they've been like sick for like a month, and they're so mad, and they're like, and they go into their head and have decided kind of like it's the opposite of what's showing up, like their body isn't having a massive upgrade or purging or detoxifying this reality. But when you ask that question, okay, what's right about this I'm not getting? Or is this what I've been asking for showing up in a totally different way? That's another great question to like write down, put in your toolbox. If they ask that question, they become really aware. Oh my God, I asked for miracles with my body. This is the stretch. This is what my body requires right now to get there. It could be stuff with money where it's like you're asking for wealth and riches and profitability, and then you might have some of the worst shitty money months of your life, and you're like, what? This is the opposite. But what's actually going on is all of this like stuck energy, all these stuck lies and points of view about money have to get cleared out. So they have to come and like get in your face, so you can clear them out. Because otherwise you're trying to have something, but you're not congruent with what you're asking for. You're not congruent with those wealth and riches because you have all this other stuff going on that you're stuck in. So when you ask, when you relax and go, okay, money stuff. Is this what I've been asking for? Showing up in a totally different way. That's weirdly light. okay, what else is possible? And then you start to go into question, like, what are I required to know here? What is the universe communicating with me? What is money communicating with me? That's another great question. What is being communicated to me right now? Whew, what is being communicated to me right now? And it might just be an energy with no words, no thoughts, no feelings. You might just perceive energy. Don't try and define it. You don't need to define it to get it. You're getting it if you perceive it, and you're getting it even if you don't perceive it. You're getting it because you asked for it. You're already getting it. And then it will just unfold. And keep asking questions, and it will unfold more, and keep asking questions, and it'll unfold more. So when you're asking that sweet body of yours, or you're asking money, you're asking different situations, maybe you've been looking for a relationship or looking to get out of a relationship, or a multitude of things, right? We all have lives, we have things that we ask for, we have things that show up. I know part of the car accident for me that I had was about potency, and it was about control. Controlling future possibilities, because I am kind of good at that and have been clearing my way away from that for a while now, and a multitude of other things. But it was so beautiful to really acknowledge, okay, what's right about this I'm not getting? Wow, is this something I asked for showing up in a totally different way? Oh my God. Thank you, universe, for stretching me. Thank you, universe, for inviting me to become that which I require to become, to receive and have that which I asked for. So look at that right now in your life. Is there something going on that is really frustrating, or really annoying, or really hurtful, or tragic, or seems impossible to change, or an event that just showed up like out of nowhere? What if it didn't come out of nowhere? And not every time it's going to be this. So you got to ask the question, like, you really got to go and ask those questions. What is right about this I'm not getting? So right now, what is right about this thing that you're not getting? Is this actually something that you asked for showing up in a totally different way? Mhm. And now, when you ask those questions and you start to have that awareness, it doesn't necessarily mean that the thing is going to disappear or reverse. But what can start to show up is you start to have the ease with whatever it is. So let's say your body's been sick for a month or whatever, and you ask this question. Then, one, you can kind of relax, right? All that brain chatter, like everything that you decided was happening that is not happening, can go away. And you can relax into the possibility that is presenting itself. You can, and as you relax, it is so much easier to stretch. Just think about a muscle, right? Like, if I tense my muscle and I try and stretch it, that's hard. If someone comes along and they're like, I'm going to stretch you, and I'm like, okay, it's really hard to stretch when you're contracted, right? But when you relax, like, just relax and stretch. And the more you relax, and you might hit a point, so like stretching, whatever it is, right? You might hit a point where you're like, oh, that's right there, it's tight. And instead of backing away, if you be present in that stretch, and you relax and you relax and you relax, you'll find that your muscles can actually go further than you thought they could. Well, that's the same with you, because you can go further than you think you can. You can. You can go so much further than you think you can. And when you relax in that stretch, when you truly and totally relax in that stretch, then the ease shows up for whatever you're stretching into. I hope this podcast episode contributed to you Please feel free to leave a comment below, any takeaways or even any requests for different content. I'm always curious to know what is coming up in your universe and what I can contribute to you, because that's what this show is all about. If you haven't already, like this, subscribe, maybe share it with someone. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next episode. Bye. Thank you for exploring the curious universe with me. Your curiosity matters. And what if together we could create a greater, more curious world?